Thank you, Father. Our alumnus of 1964, Vincent Millard, will moderate the discussion and we'll take questions.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. As Jamie said, I'm a graduate of the Abbey, then the Priory in 1964, and you would not be faulted for having a certain sense of cognitive dissonance seeing me share this microphone with our august guest. But in fact, when I did leave the Priory in 1964 and took that last trek up Corey's Lane, I embarked on a peregrination of some 25 to 30 years, which eventually took me to the doorstep of St. Agnes, where I'd been referred to Father Rutler for spiritual direction. I proved to be a far too formidable subject for that, but over the years we have become very close and fast friends, and Father Rutler will periodically repair to my house in Little Compton, where he's guaranteed no cell phones and certainly no intellectual challenge. And there he's been for the last few days, furiously working on the sequel to his book, Dead People I Knew When They Were Alive, which I suggested he call Live People I Wish I Knew Were Dead. It's going to be a very long book, though. I think you've seen, though, as you've seen today, if you've just seen meeting Father Rutler for the first time, what I've discovered over the last 25 years of my friendship with him, a man of great wit and wisdom, but humility and kindness and compassion and discipline. And he's certainly been a profound influence on my life and the lives of the people who share my acquaintance with him. So why don't we take some questions? Anyone, raise your hand and we'll challenge Father Rutler. Yes?
I've always been interested in why Cardinal Newman said becoming Benedictine or Jesuit.
Perhaps it would be good if I repeat the question. Why did Newman become an Oratorian and not a Benedictine or a Jesuit? He did sample community life, visited various orders. As far as the Jesuits, he just didn't feel a particular kind of domestic ambience there. He very much admired the Benedictines and always remained closely associated with them, but he was particularly drawn to the Oratorians because of St. Philip Neri. They're very different personalities. It's a strange fact that he tied in so quickly with Philip Neri. But he did say that the Oratorians allowed you to maintain your own rooms, and he was musical, and that was an attraction. I think the oratory provided for him very much that kind of domestic, the surrounding which he had grown accustomed to in the common rooms and the colleges of Oxford. He also thought that it was a very effective way of translating the Catholic idiom into Victorian culture, which still looked upon Catholicism as very exotic. Oratorians had a gracious way of domesticating Catholic piety. I think that was why.
You said that Newman could hardly have predicted the Pope's recent apostolic constitution. There is actually at least one letter where he speaks about the possibility of an Anglican Union Church, that's the word he uses, and then says that it's probably quite impractical because it would involve difficulties with the local Latin Rite, Latin Rite Church. And I think it's not exactly a very well kept secret in England that the bishops are very hostile to the apostolic constitution. I wonder if you'd like to comment on the Catholic bishops are very hostile to the constitution. I wonder if you'd like to comment on that in the light of Newman's own remark.
Well, I would like to comment on it. I don't know if I should comment on it. It sounds so very much like what Newman himself had to put up with. Any great experiment, any great venture is going to have its resistance. And curiously, those who are most resistant tend to be those who characterize themselves as most surround the Pope. He had to put up with that in his own day. It was very significant. He did very much want the Church, the Catholics in England, to be taken from out of the direction of the Propagation of Fide. He did everything possible to indigenize Catholicism. And I think it's most dramatic that Pope Benedict did this directly and personally, because he understood the situation, and he was well aware that over a period of several years, many of the Anglicans, including some of the bishops, had been trying to make approaches and were being thwarted. I do think that in retrospect, this Pope will be, amongst other things, appreciated as I called him, the Pope of Christian unity, by the very fact that he took that initiative himself, very boldly. Yes. Stacey.
Edwards. This is more of a factual matter. There was a letter or an article written by Cardinal Portsmouth somewhere around 1840 that when Newman read it, it probably had a powerful impact on him, and it started him on his march towards conversion.
Yes. Well, Wiseman had written, and he made an appeal on the basis of antiquity and history, which is the way to attract Newman. Newman said it was not Rome that made him Rome, but it was that historical appeal of the fathers. When he went to Rome to study, he was surprised that there was so little Thomism. He wanted to learn about scholastics, and there was very little of that being taught then. That came with the Thomistic revival. Leo XIII, his own brother, was a distinguished Thomist. But Wiseman knew very well. Wiseman knew Newman's historical bias, proclivity, and that's why Newman himself said, to know history is to cease being Protestant. Not so much theology, but history. Because for the Christian, for the Jew,